Hi everyone, welcome to another chapter of our lesson in Bible. And this time, we will be learning about the life of Joshua. And our lesson will be about surviving poor decisions. And this is in chapter 3 of our book. Now, last meeting, I already gave you a preliminary reading assignment in order for you to know at least majority of the background of our story and especially our character. So maybe Joshua is a familiar figure to some of you, but I'm sure that most of you, dili kaayo ninyo known si Joshua compared to maybe Abraham, ni kanang Jacob, ni Joseph, ni David. So Joshua is not that known, but um, Joshua played a big role and a great nga lesson nga to ma-learn sa iyang kinabuhi on how God used him for his sa iyaha nga pag-lead sa iyaha nga chosen people, which is the Israelites. So, let's have this thought first. So, does history repeat itself in your life? Or in other words, do you learn from the mistakes you have made in the past? Or, bisag kahibaw ka nga mistake na to yung gihimo gyapon na nimo siya og balik. In the case of the Israelites, they did not. In spite of the miracles God performed to deliver the nation from the slavery of Egypt, the Israelites refused to trust Him and possess the land. As a result of this decision, the entire nation suffered for nearly 4 decades. If this had been the last time in Israel's history that the nation had failed to trust God, the 40 years of wandering would have been time well spent. But that was not the case. Throughout the Old Testament, the nation of Israel continued to turn its back on God in disbelief. These recurring bad decisions plagued the nation for centuries. If you are going to look at the story of Israel, gikan sa time tingali ni Abraham no, and how the story developed, daghang characters ang ni sige na ni emerge. Makita nimo din ha ang tanan nga gihimo sa Ginoo, makita nimo ang power sa Ginoo, ang might nga walay makalupig tungod kay gamhanan gyud ang Ginoo. And Israel, ang tanan nga manapuyo sa Israel, the nation of Israel is or eyewitnesses ni sila kaning mga Israelites, meaning nakit-an gyud nila first hand, na experience nila kung naay mga di ba naay mga miracle of kaya na ang healing na sila mismo naka-benefit ana kay naagyud ang kaya na ang ila gyud ang na-experience first hand. Dili na ingon nga result og istorya lang. So sila mismo naka-experience ana. Even the power, the display of power sa Ginoo in defeating their enemy para maging victorious sila, ilahan nga na experience. The provision of food nila, ilan ang na-experience. However, bisan og ilahan nga nakit-an unsa kagamhanan ang Ginoo, ang Israel over the history of that nation, over and over pud pila pud ka time nga sila ni fail og salig sa Ginoo. So tungod ana nga wrong decision, poor decision sa nasod or nation sa Israel, so niabot sa point nga naka-experience sila aning gitawag 40 years of wandering in the wilderness. So ato dalawon unsa na siya, so kana si Ja ang case sa Israel. Poor decisions may lead to wandering. When we say wandering, it is going to places without knowing where to go. Na wala ka kay baw asa ka padung sa imong purpose, nganong ehon gihimo. It may also result to grief or sorrow, pain, and ultimately death. If somehow your life is a lot like the Israelites, regardless of the mistakes you made in the past, God can change the course of your life and plant your feet on solid ground. He can enable you to make right decisions from this day forward. So this is an encouragement for every one of us that Although at some point sa atong kinabuhi nasayop ta, but ang Ginoo can change our life. God is powerful, God is mighty to change our life for the better in the way He wants our life to become if we are going to allow Him to do that sa ato nga kinabuhi. And He can enable us, He can give us the strength to make right decisions gikan karon nga adlaw and forward. So, let's try to learn from the life of Joshua, from the life of the Israelites, from the life of Moses, and every character sa atong story. So, let's talk about the wilderness wanderings. So, the wilderness wanderings took place in 3 stages. So, ang wilderness wanderings, na siya total of 40 years. Okay? According to Numbers chapter 13, which ako na siyang ipabasa sa inyo last week, right? So, the first stage was kadtong dito sa Egypt to Mount Sinai, in which dito sa Mount Sinai, the law was given, or kanang gitawa atong most commonly known to us today as the Ten Commandments. So the law was given. The trip and time at the mountain was a little over 1 year. So nagstay sila dito, lapas gamay og usa ka tuig. Stage 2 was at Kadesh. Kaning Kadesh, dinhi nahitabo ang pagpadala sa mga spies into the land or the promised land. So, as a result of their disobedience, they were to wander for the next 38 years. So, ma-take up na nato ang ubang mga details na nahitabo during sa time sa Kadesh. And the final stage was the final months before Moses' death. So, a time filled with conflicts as the Israelites moved up the eastern side of the Dead Sea toward the Promised Land. So, kaning time time nga paingon na sila ngadto sa Promised Land. However, significant siya nga stage tungod kay si Moses wala na siya gialaw sa Ginoo nga makaadto pa sa Promised Land. And so at this time medyo nagkagubot ang mga tao, ang mga Israelites, maybe because of the lack of leadership na, so dili ang uban tingali nagkunahuna nga wala nilang leader kinsa mosunod, wala pa maka-establish sa leadership, so na mga conflicts nga nahitabo as they moved up in the eastern side of the Dead Sea paingon na ngadto sa Promised Land. So let's take up the stage 2. So mo ni siya ang core no kay dinhi nang hitabo ang 38 years nga kanang ilahang nga pag wander sa wilderness. So, this is about the report of the spies. What happened after gipadala ang mga spies dito sa Promised Land? So, 2 spies were sent to determine if Israel could possess the land. So, kaniya 12 spies were chosen, 1 per tribe. So, diba, there na ay 12 tribes of Israel. So, sa mga anak ni Jacob. So, nag-determine sila usa ka tawo nga ilang mapada as spy ngadto sa Promised Land. The spy mission lasted for 40 days. So they found the land lush and productive. When we say lush and productive, so ilahan ning gi-describe gani as a land of milk and honey. So, what pasabot, grabe gyud ka abundant ang naa dito sa Promised Land. So, upon the return, 2 reports were given gikan sa ilahang lakaw. So, the report, still the report of the spies. Unang report. So, the majority, nabahin na ang report into the majority report and the minority report. The majority report, that is coming from the 10 spies out of 12. So, ingon sila, we are not able to go up against the people. They are giants and we are grasshoppers. So, di ba according sa kanang sa sa story nga ipabasa sa inyo ha. So they saw some of the people in the or dwelling in the promised land are I'm sorry, descendants of Anak. So kani sila mga giants na sila nga kaliwat. So nahadlok ning mga spies mostly nga kung ilang i-conquer ang land of or ang promised land or Canaan, so sila mahug lang sila grasshoppers nila makontra giants. So they decided not to go up against them because sa ilang comparison, they are giants and we are grasshoppers. So dali lang kayo sila nga ma-defeat ana. Or ang defeat nga or ang ang loss nila is already decided. Second report, this is the minority report, which is the remaining two spies. And sila, let us go up once and take possession, for we will be able to overcome it. So these two spies, they remain positive. They claim, they stand on what God had promised them. Okay? So, ilahang gingon, they did not deny nga ang katong ilang nakita nito tinuod ba to or dili, but they made a decision that let us go up once, take possession of it because God promised it for us. So ingon sila, we will be able to overcome it. Na siya sa Numbers 13:30. They said, we won't go. So they listen to the majority report. They said in Numbers 14:1-4, let us return to Egypt. So, ang ilang kipamatian, syempre, di ba, pag kitapod karon, we are very, what is this? We are very conscious about what other people tells us. So, we tend to go with the majority. So, in this case, kani ang mga tao pod karon, ingon sila, nagtuo sila sa katong majority report and they decided that they will not go to the promised land. Instead, gusto nila nga mubalik ngadto sa Egypt. So, how did God respond to their unbelief and poor decision? So, unsay mga nanghitabo due to their unbelief? When we say unbelief, so they refuse to believe what God said to them. They failed to trust what God had promised to them. So, unsa may nanghitabo in response to their unbelief and poor decisions? So, this was the 10th time the people had rebelled. So, kani nga panahon, kani ilang gihimo nga nag-decide sila nga dili na mo adto, ikanapo na din nga time at that time no nga nag-rebel sila against God. So, in Numbers 14:22. So, ingon pa diha sa Numbers 14:29, God said that their carcasses would fall in the wilderness. When we say carcasses, sa ato ang kanang common nga dialect, it's dead body. So, but pasabot, they will not, some of them, dili na nila makitaan ang promised land. Dili na nila ma-experience ang promised land. The abundance, the promise of God, nga blessings, dili na nila ma-experience because their body would fall in the wilderness. So, along their journey to the promised land, mamatay di ay sila. So, no one over the age of 20. So, wala nay at that time katong tanan nga nag-edad og 21 pataas, except ni Joshua o ni Caleb maka-adto sa promised land. That is in Numbers 14:29. So, anong sukuan na gyud sa Ginoo no ani nga time sa kagahig-o sa mga Israelites. So, ingon siya, no one over the age of 20 except Joshua and Caleb, in which kani si Joshua si Caleb mao ni ang duha ka spy sa minority report would enter the promised land. And letter D, the majority report leaders would die of a plague, and even gani ang ilahang family maapil syempre. So so except sa kadtong mga dili kadtong wala pa nag-edad og 21. So in Joshua 2:8-11, so this is a background story, no? According to Rahab's testimony, so Rahab is one of the people in Jericho. So kaning Jericho, so usa ni sa mga enemy sa kanang Israel. Ang mga tao sa Jericho had feared for 40 years what God would what God would do for His people. Okay. So, nahadlok ang mga tao sa Jericho sa Ginoo sa mga Israelites. However, so giingon din, what an irony, because the people of Israel could have been victorious but chose to die in the wilderness. So if other people around them are afraid of their God, why nga kaning mga Israelites sila mismo man magrebelde man sa ilang Ginoo, sa ilang mga ancestors? So it's an irony because other people are afraid of their God and these people are disobeying God, not believing in their God, nga ilahag yun nga ma-experience, ilahang personal nga na-experience ang gahom sa Ginoo diha nila along their journey gani gikan sa Egypt. Gikan pa lang sa Egypt, no, daghan ng plague ang nanghitabo, ipakita sa Ginoo ni sa iyang mga tao ang iyang gahom, ang iyang kagamhanan para nga kani nga mga Israelites, they would feel secure that their God is the God of gods and the King of kings. So no one can outpower God. So, mo na iyahang gipakita nila. However, kani nga mga tao, they fail to trust Him. They fail to believe in what He says. So, mo na siya. So, mo na yung testimony ni Rahab. Ingon ana ka, unknown ang gahom sa Ginoo sa Israel. However, the Israelites mismo, wala sila nagsalig sa mao nga Ginoo. Decisions are made on the basis of an internal mindset, the beliefs and principles that are important to us. So, ang mayon kita mohimo ta og decision, it is based on what we think and how we think about that decision that we are going to make. Diba? For example, ako, personally, ako hadlukan ko og kanang mga rides. Okay, of course, kung nako sa usa ka kanang, for example, we've been to Enchanted Kingdom, and Enchanted Kingdom offers a lot of different rides. So one time adto mi, so of course kung ako hadlukan ko, syempre piliun lang nako ang unsay ako ang sakyan. Dili ko mo sakay adto ang mga kanang hadlok na kaayo nga mga rides, like katuto ang isa ka sa ibabaw dayon ibundak dayon sa ubo. So mamatay tingali ko along the way ana nga kuan kay perteng habuga. So tungod kay hadlokan ko, so my decision not to go on that ride is based on my internal mindset that I don't like ride. Kaya nang mahadlok ko og heights. So, it is based on my belief and principle nga important sa ako. So, I am very kaya na ang kuan sa safety. So, mauna siya. So, decisions are made on the basis of internal mindset. Unsa imong mga panghuna-huna, unsa imong gituuhan about ana. Okay? So, I gave you the videos to watch about the life of Jim Elliot and his 4 friends, missionary friends. So, di ba, on that story, so si Jim Elliot o kani nga 4 other missionaries died from the hands of aggressive nga tribe called the Aucas. So, natanaw naman niyo ang story, no? The death of Jim Elliot and 4 other missionaries may seem disastrous. First, you may think nga nganong ilang pa man giadto nga kahibaw man gyud sila nga kana siya nga tribe mga kuan na sila unsay nga nani kanang aggressive, kanang pwede silang mopatay og tao. So it's already dangerous. Why are you going to put your life in danger? Nga pwede raman ka og kuan unsay nga na magpabili na ka diha, you can maybe preach to them about Jesus, pero dili ka mag-adto sa ilahang lugar. Naatingali laing pamaagi. However, their death spurred many Christians to dedicate their lives to mission. The Aucas later came to Christ and became friends with the wives and the children of the missionaries. So, daghan tingali og mga panghunahuna that what they did was not a good decision because it put their lives in danger. And truly, namatay gud sila because of what they did. However, ang ilang nga decision, ilaha to nga gihimo, they prayed for it for how many years, they've done all the necessary preparation, precautions, but ang nanghitabo sa ilaha showed that ang ilang nga decision, though dili siya maayo para sa atoa, but tungod kay naghimo sila ni ani, tungod sa ilang internal mindset that they want to they want to please and honor their Savior, Jesus Christ. So, ilahan na gihimo. So, tungod sa ilang nga sacrifice, tungod sa ilang decision nga gihimo, though it did not end well for them, so, tungod kay namatay sila, no? But, dako kaayo ni siya o positive nga nang hitabo or result after. Tungod sa ilang nga kamatayon, daghan nga mga Christians nagdedicate sa ilang kinabuhi through missions. Daghan ang nag-missionary, daghan ang naghatag para sa mission, para mag-support. Daghan ang mga Christians nga nagpray para sa mga missionary because missionary life is not an easy life. So, nag-reach out sila og mga undiscovered nga mga tribes and other places nga pwedeng dangerous, so it needs prayers. So, labaw sa tanan, daawkas kaning mga tao nga ilahang gi-reach out, wala na usik ang ilang kahago because they later came to know Christ. They have accepted Christ as their personal Lord and Savior. So if you're just going to look at their story, class, o makahilak mo sa lang story, and me personally, mabless ko. The wives, the families left by this missionary, instead nga masuko sila sa awkas, give a feel nila nga the God that Jim Elliot and his friends want them to know is the same God nga naa sa ilahan, so they forgive them. Kay kahibaw sila nga nahimo to nila ang kadto nga time tungod kay wala pa sila kaila sa Ginoo. So truly tungod ani nga attitude, tungod ani nga kanang kuan sa mga life niini nga mga missionary o sa ilang family, kaning mga awkas nakaila sa Ginoo, naka-accept sa Ginoo. And even gani tingali hangtod karon na apay mga pipila nga mga families nga buhi sa ilaha, which is the product of how Jim Elliot and his friends decision at that time. Our only challenge in decision making is to do God's will. I'm not saying that nga nang dili mo mukuha og laing kurso, mag-missionary ra gyud mo, but I'm saying that in everything that we are going to do in our life, kinahanglan nga atoan ang pangayoon sa Ginoo that whatever we do, it is pleasing to God. It is according to God's will.